Hello. Oh my god, my face is super red. Holy shit. Hi everybody. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute. How is everybody doing? So, Jesus Christ, my face is really red. Hello Axiom, hello Carter. Today I just wanted to cover some of the stuff that I've been doing recently, as well as cover some of the stuff that's been going on recently. But I've done a bunch of stuff in the past month or two, and a lot of stuff that I want to cover. I even have notes. I even have notes for this stream. I never have notes for a stream. Look at this shit. God damn. That's a sneak preview. But yeah, I just wanted to cover some of the stuff that's been going on. And today I feel kind of good, so I was like, why not? I'll do a stream and not necessarily do a solo RPG play session, but kind of go through some of the stuff that has been going through my head and also some of the stuff that I've made. So firstly, hi Penflower Inc. So firstly, the fact that I've been having some medical issues recently, and the medical issues are not anything to be worried about, but it's something where I had a bunch of insomnia and headaches and stuff like that. So I've been going through certain medical procedures for that. I'm going on my third one tomorrow, and all that is fine. I just needed to take a vacation from my regular commission work. So as a result, I was like, what should I do during this month? And my first thought was, I should do a project. And I realized that that's dumb. So I didn't do that. I didn't do a project. Instead, oh wait, is the mic... Okay, the mic is cutting out noise, that's good. I didn't do a project. Instead, I was just like, I'm gonna try read more, right? So I read through The Broken Sword by Paul Anderson. What I've been doing is I've been getting a bunch of books from thriftbooks.com, and I've been getting these used books, for $5, $10, and I've been reading through them. So I actually have a stack right there that I can't show because it'll knock over my whole setup. But I did want to show some of the stuff that I've made. So let me actually change the screen so that I can actually show some of this stuff. Let me just load it up firstly. My itch.io. Okay, so a few things. Let's actually go out of order here. One of the things that I've done recently is I've made this thing called the Outdoor Survival Scaffolder. So I'm gonna switch screens. Hopefully this works. Let's see here. Will this work? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is the Outdoor Survival Scaffolder. In case you're new to the channel or you're new to, I guess, OD&D. So original Dungeons and Dragons is, well, what it says, right? Original Dungeons and Dragons is like the 1974 version of Dungeons and Dragons. In that book, in, I believe, the third book, they recommend using the Wilderness and Exploration, something like that. Anyway, they recommend using this map from this game called Outdoor Survival for the Hex map. So a lot of the generation of features and stuff like that was kind of based off this map, in terms of the castle rules and stuff like that. For example, if you enter within the region of a castle, a fighter will come out and greet you and stuff like that. But they also based a lot of the terrain and stuff animals or monsters appearing in certain kinds of terrain, and that's based off a lot of the terrain in the map, right? So that being said, what I did was several things. I've been working on this over the course of a few weeks, but one of the first things I did was that I took every single possible encounter in every single territorial region in this map. I found every single one that had a chance of having a lair, right? So not all monsters have a chance of having a lair. Some of them have higher chances than others. Oh, thank you, Carter. Yeah, the procedure is going well so far. I hope it continues going well. But for example, Gorgons or Medusa have a 75% chance of being in their lair when you meet them. And what that means is that depending on the terrain and depending on what encounter you meet, you might generate out a lair, right? So there are a bunch of methods for generating out like layers as is. A lot of them are predicated on like you just decide a few different areas for the layers, which is fair enough, and then you roll an encounter, and then that's your layer. The problem is that the probabilities don't really match up, and sometimes you get monsters that don't actually have a layer. Then what do you do? So what I did, let me actually show this. Oh wait, let me actually switch back so that I'm not showing anything private. I haven't streamed for a while, so I'm just trying to get my bearings again. Give me a second here. Where is... Here we go. odndlayers.pdf. Okay, I'm going back to here. So, this is... Oh my god, I'm sorry for the flashbang. But this is a PDF that I made, right? And this PDF is based off the chances that I calculated off using perchance and using some other stuff and using some databases. I was able to calculate the chances for each creature being in each layer in each kind of terrain. So if you look at, for example, there's some duplicates here, but yeah, I used the base information for this scaffolder that I made. And what this does, so like I'll just jump into it. What this does is essentially, right now it creates a bunch of layers on the outdoor survival map. So it's just gonna be this map. It won't like generate out the terrain randomly or anything. But as you can see, there's a bunch of these little layer icons. So if I click on one of them, let's say I clicked on this one. So there's a castle here, right? And there's 2 layers nearby. If I click this, it will, it will immediately go to here, and I can see that, oh, it's a werewolf layer. There's 13 in the layer, and that's actually accurately calculated. The HD, AC, alignment, and there's treasure as well, right? Some of them have more detail, some of them have less detail. So if I go to another one, like let's say the mountains, you can see a cockatrice, yep, and then treasure. But if you look at some of the more, like let's say if you find a bandit layer, which let me see if I can find one. Oh yeah, like white dragon, for example, right? Dragons, they'll actually like calculate out the age, what spells they can use, if any, if they can talk, stuff like that. They will take into account like how many are in the layer and how many bodyguards they'll have, and all this is not done by me. There was somebody who scraped, this guy called Pig Dog, who scraped a bunch of like information and put it into an OD&D database that I then used for this. So you can see that there's a bunch of treasure here, but there's some that have a lot of information, like let me just see if I can find one. Yeah, like here, right? Bandits. This one will actually like tell you what are the more special bandits in the retinue. And then it will also give you the treasure. There's very little treasure in being generated out of this particular map, but the treasure is interesting because it can actually generate out treasure that can create treasure maps, so it can be recursive as well. So let me just like refresh this. This map is not giving me any good treasure, but let's try this one. Let's see, we got a wizard, we got giant scorpion, balrog. I'm trying to find one where it actually shows like what I mean by the treasure map, and I think usually the dragons have those. So let's just go to dragon. So gold dragon, yep, there's a lot of gold, but that's not what I'm looking for. White dragon, not what I'm looking for. I'm trying to find an example here, and I'm not doing a very good job at showing it off, but... oh, here we go. Wait, this doesn't show the treasure map either. Oh my god. I'm showing this off in a horrible fashion. Oh, but it does create like magical items as well, as you can see. And it can create like swords that have personalities as well, right? And all that is detailed out in OD&D, but it actually gives a lot of detail on each of them. Let's see here. Why is there no treasure maps? Oh, here we go. We have one. This kind of sucks though. There's a map to a Staff of Withering, which is buried and unguarded 8 miles distant. So you can kind of like create adventures based off those treasure maps, and it's quite interesting. And you know, it shows the special information for each of the creatures as well. And it will also like for example, it says here the Goblin King is present, he and his 14 bodyguards. That's actually generated out based on how many goblins are in the lair to begin with. But yeah, like here. So sword +1/+2 against skin changers, lawful, has 7 intelligence, 9 ego. It grants its wielder the power of intelligence and powers of noting, shifting walls and rooms. It communicates with its wielder via empathy. That kind of thing can be generated out from here. And so this is basically a tool that can help you do scaffolding for your group games or maybe even solo games. So you can just pick a small region and like you can just copy and paste this into a document and you can print that region out. And it is pretty interesting, I think. I'm planning on putting a button that will just manually export all of the markdown data so you can put it into a document easily. Yeah, there is a whole bunch of stuff going into this. Like I said, it also takes into account the terrain. So if you notice, the plains have a lot less layers than like say the mountains or the forest. It doesn't take into account settlement boundaries. So you can see that there's some layers on the settlement themselves. That's not how it should be. I'm going to fix that. So it's a work in progress, right? Yeah, so I'm gonna be fixing all of that up. But I wanted to go a bit behind the scenes as to how I did this, maybe. Maybe that'll be interesting for somebody. So one of the things that I did was, like I said, I used the monster and treasure databases that Pigdog made. So if I go to this database and I hit edit, you can see there's a lot of information here, right? So I'm using all of those. I didn't like make that myself. And there's also a monster database that has all this information. I made my own database that sources off this stuff. But then what I also did was I took this map. Somebody made a hexographer map of outdoor survival, and I parsed the raw data and I made it into, you know, like a multi-dimensional array if you're familiar with programming. What else? Oh yeah, what inspired this was Idra Luna's thing where they basically made a whole outdoor survival thing of their own, and yeah, it was really inspiring, and I wanted to make something where it could scaffold it automatically. I highly recommend checking out Idra Luna's blog, which is not this one, it's this one. I'd highly recommend it. It's very, very interesting. And they've also made this thing called the Littlest Brown Book. I'm making a bit of a I'm diverging away from the topic a little bit, but let me see if I can find things I've made. Here we go, the Littlest Brown Book. All right. So this is interesting because oh, you can see my comment there. This is essentially a small retro clone of OD&D, and it reformats the tables some. So like, for example, instead of rolling multiple times for encounters, you can just roll D100 and they've calculated out the percentages, stuff like that. Also, they were very nice. They kind of like cited me in their ludography, which is interesting. I'm happy that they did that. That was something I wasn't expecting. I was going off to print this whole thing out. Then I saw my name at the end and it was weird. Where are you hosting your database? I'm a developer, so this is interesting to me. So the databases are public and they're not mine. The database that I'm using, the databases that I'm using are already posted up in the itch.io. The link, the monster and treasure databases are here. You just need to go there, hit edit, and you can find them. What I had to do was I had to edit this down some. So I had to use if you're familiar with Vim, I use some Vim macros to actually edit down some of the database stuff. Yeah, because some of it was not going to be usable for what I was trying to do, and I had to make some modifications here and there. But overall, I just used this mostly as is. And then what I did was I then created like this multi-dimensional array of all of the territories of each of these, and then I went through using JavaScript and I went through the databases and I was able to create the layers as a result. In future, I have like to-do list here. There is settlement generation that's on the way. Castle keep generation. Layers should respect settlement the boundaries. That will be probably done first. Markdown output and a refresh button. Refresh button I might not do because you can just you can easily refresh it from here, right? So there's that. This has been something that I've been working at on and off for a little bit, and I am enjoying it. It's of dubious value, I think. Like, I don't know how useful it's gonna be, but I actually think, like, even if you're not using this map, like, just clicking a random forest thing and finding out, oh, gargants and oh, there are treasure, that can be pretty useful as is, right? So I think that's cool. So there's that. What else have I been doing? So I mentioned that I've been reading a lot. I've been having some medical issues. I've been doing a lot of pencil drawing, right? So let me see if I can show some of that. Documents, offline art. Okay, so here we go. So I've been doing a lot of pencil drawing, and I've been parsing it up in Photoshop afterwards. Sometimes I don't do it, but let me give an example. Like this one was done in pencil, right? When are you going to Seattle? Where are you going to settle? I read that as when are you going to Seattle? No, where are you going to settle? I actually have been running a game where I'm coming from this side of the map, like right here. And I immediately got killed. Because of, like, it's far away from a settlement. So the way I've been running it is the further away from a settlement it is, the higher likelihood of more dangerous creatures. So I just got immediately murdered on the way to the settlement. The graphics for your version of Civilization 7 look a bit off. Oh my god. Hey Josh. Anyway, that being said, I've been doing a bunch of pencil art, as you can see. So what I do is I do the pencil art, but then I also parse it in Photoshop. You can kind of see the like lines there. I think that looks pretty cool. So I've been doing a lot of that. This one was also done in pencils, right? And then I parsed it up. So the workflow that I've been doing is I've been scanning it in, which I'm getting a artist scanner soon, hopefully, because this is losing a lot of detail. So I've been scanning it in, and then I've been modifying it in Photoshop. My scanner is really bad, so I kind of want a better one. But yeah, like this one, for example, was also drawn in pencil. This one was also done in pencil. This was from a Kern Natalis playthrough that I was doing. What's in the folder named Super Secret Sexy Snakes? I don't know, I can't see that folder. However, I do think that it's probably Super Secret Sexy Snakes in there. Yo, Prozap! Yeah, oh, that's another thing that I needed to show off. I didn't write this down, but I was gonna show off, Forge. I have it right here, so I need to write that down in case I forget. Let me just write that down. Thank you for reminding me without even realizing it. But yeah, so these are some other pencil sketches that I've been doing. And yeah, you can get a lot of range out of it. So I realized that, okay, actually this is a good way to show what I'm saying. Spoilers, can't show that yet. So this is my notepad. Oh, actually, like my friend, I met a new friend recently called Dino, and she's hospitalized, so I drew this on the back of that. But this is kind of a good example, actually. So as you can see, I can use a lot of inking techniques, but I can also use a lot of shading techniques. I didn't use any shading techniques in this, but the way I would do it is like in order to like use both the painting techniques and the inking techniques, it's dependent on how you hold your pencil. So normally most people will hold their pencil in what's called the tripod grip, and that's because there are 3 points of contact, right? And then that's how you used to write as well, right? So that's, everybody knows about that. That's how you ink as well. But let's say you wanted to shade a large portion of something, right? So you will hold it like this. And this is what you would normally do if you're doing like, a tilted canvas or whatever. But you'd hold it like this, and then you will shade like that. And you can see, I kind of fade out the shade, or I can make it darker. And yeah, that's pretty good. Like, that's pretty fast. And then you can go in, and then you can like darken up areas like that. Like so. And like this process is very, very natural to me, and it's something that I've not really done much before until like now. So I've been really enjoying it. So I've been doing a lot of pencil work, and I'm planning to do more of that in future as well. Let's see. I'll be really interested in the process you're using to get the etching style for the process image. Oh, I can go through that right now. Actually, let me like fire up. Actually, you don't even need Photoshop for that one. Let me actually fire up Clip Studio Paint, and that'll be a lot more general because then everybody can use this technique in whatever free program that they have. So let me just fire this up and show you guys how I will do it. Give me 1 second. So okay, I'm gonna switch over. Let me try to see if I can do this. Oh, sorry, you probably heard that. Okay, so this Clip Studio Paint, what I do is I use some kind of like engraving texture. You can find a bunch of these in different places. One of them, actually, I'll share a link to one of them. Let me find it. Engraving textures. There's one on itch.io that's pretty good. So I'll just open that up. So this one is pretty good. Engrave textures. So it's in this link. I'll put it in the description. I'll try to remember to do that. But yeah, there's a bunch of engraving textures here. So the trick is, what you do is you take your drawing and whatever. You take your engraved textures. Let's say we're using this one. So I'll kind of just drag it in, right? And yep, let's say we do like that. Oh, you have those textures? Yeah. So the trick is actually to use hard mix and then do a level adjustment. So if you do hard mix, it might not immediately work. So there's a bunch of issues here, right? You can see it looks pretty cool, but you can see a bunch of the color and stuff like that. So one of the ways to get rid of that is to remove the saturation, which makes it black and white. So everybody kind of knows about that. But one of the ways to like actually make it look a lot better is actually using level adjustment. So let me just show you that real quick. So I'm going to use a level adjuster here, and I'm going to clip it to the layer. And what you want to do is not to adjust these ones, right? You don't want to adjust this stuff. You want to adjust the output. So this is the maximum and minimum levels of darkness for this. So if you adjust this, you can see you can really show how much of the pencil is going to show through. And there you go. That's how you do it. So you can of course make this a lot more stark, and they'll look more like inks, like that, right? You can also, of course, adjust the levels of the image itself before doing this. So let's say I have this, right? I can, of course, make a new level correction thing, and I can make it darker to begin with, and it will give me a different effect. So depends on how much of the texture you want to show through, you can do different things. Another thing that I kind of do, which is more specific to Photoshop, is that I use the camera raw filter, which allows you to make a bunch of adjustments for level adjustment much faster than you would if you're doing it manually. But if you're doing it manually, you can get a pretty much exactly the same result. Yeah, just use the engraving texture and put it on hard mix, and then adjust the levels of the engraving texture itself. So that will be my process for it. And then optionally afterwards, you can adjust the levels of the image. Yeah, camera raw filter is very good for that kind of stuff. So that's what I use for this kind of thing. But in terms of like actual drawing, I've been using a lot of Blackwing pencils. So let me switch back to this. I'm using a lot of Blackwing pencils, and I've been doing a lot of switching between, you know, like this kind of drawing, and then switching to like this. So the way I see it in my head is that when I'm doing this, I'm inking. So all the techniques that I use, like for example, like let's say I wanted to feather out this section here, right? I'll like actually use some pressure to make it so that it's a good feather. I don't think you can see that. Let me try to move this down a bit. Okay, there we go. Yeah, you can kind of see that, right? I'm basically like feathering it out using my pencil. But then when I want to fill in a large area or a chunk, I basically just do it like that. And then I can go like very dark, like so. Or I can go very light. Now, it depends on the hardness and softness of the lead that you're using. This one is a pencil that I just got today in the mail. So this one is a bit harder lead, so it's not going to be as dark. Let me see if I got an example of a softer lead type. Yeah, I think I do. I need to grab it without knocking over my camera, but... Okay, so this one is basically a softer lead type. Oops, So if I do this, it's going to be a lot darker there. You can see that. Now, the way that I sharpen these is also pretty important. I'm going to put this back up. I use what's called a 2-point sharpener. So the first thing it does, actually let me showcase it on maybe a blunter pencil. I don't really have one, so I'm just gonna use this. So there's 2 holes here. The first one essentially gets rid of the wood, right? So it gets rid of the wood, and if you're using a completely blunt pencil, you will just have, in the end, like you'll just have like a stick of lead at the end without any sharpening. The second one is a lot more subtle, and it gets rid of the lead. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's just getting rid of the lead, not getting rid of the wood. So that's just sharpening the tip of it. And the good thing about these 2-point sharpeners is that you get a very long tip in terms of the lead. So you can use it for like painterly kind of things, but you can also use it for sharp detail. One other option is to use a razor blade and actually just cut parts off yourself. That is something I used to do. I used to use a razor blade. I used to cut off the pencil manually for charcoal pencils, especially, right? But it's a lot more messy and it's a lot harder to get a control of it. Especially if you haven't been doing it for long, you're gonna break a lot of lead. So I'll recommend these. This one is a KUM, automatic long point sharpener. So these are good for that. But you can see how much of a gradient that I can get from dark to light. And you can see also that, you know, like I said, I can do all of these inking techniques that I normally do. So I've just been in love with like pencil rendering recently and applying all of the techniques that I know from both painting and inking into it. Of course, it's all monochromatic, so you can't use the color information, but you know, I mostly work in black and white, so it doesn't really bother me. Yeah, I'm actually planning on trying to use the same methods with colored pencils and watercolor in the future as well, so we'll see. Nice. Thank you, Jack. Thank you for that comment. I appreciate it. Why would you say that? Anyway, moving on. What other notes do I have here? Alright, so let's see what we've covered. We've covered the medical issues, we've covered reading, we've covered pencil drawings, we've covered the outdoors survival scaffolding, which I, for some reason, wrote as OSS. There are a few things that I still want to talk about. One of them, let's go from the top actually. So what I've been doing recently is I've been playing a lot of solo board games. So specifically I've been playing, let me see if I can move this up a bit. I've been playing these tin games, right? By Jason Glover, and I've been enjoying them a lot. I have a bunch of them. These are from the Game Crafter. But my favorite one, I still have to play Dust Runner, but my favorite one is probably Gate and Gates. So these are very small, they can fit in your pocket, but they result in a quite large play space required, like about this size. And they're a tower defense game, so these are really fun. There's no dice rolling. It's all like tactical, so it's quite good. Yo, Caustic. Yo, it's Lancelot from... Yo, Lancelot, what's up? So yeah, these are really good. I highly recommend them. They kind of... I prefer these to Tin Helm quite a bit more, but I haven't played that much of Tin Helm or Tin Realm. I still haven't played any of Dust Runner, but these are quite jam-packed. So if I open up Dust Runner, you'll see what I mean. There's even like little minis inside there. Look at that. So yeah, pretty cool. I've been using them a bunch. Tin Realm is especially interesting to me because you can create an entire world from the world map using the stuff in here. I won't dump it all out, but I still have to play this. Okay, so I've been doing a lot of solo board gaming, and I've been kind of thinking of playing more print and play games because I've been watching a lot of like The Lone Adventurer, who does a lot of print and play games, and you know, very fun stuff. What else do I have to cover? I'm like checking off a list here, goddamn. Yeah, hello Hyric, hello Caustic, and hello Lancelot. So, wow! That's an overreaction. Speaking of reaction, let's talk about reaction tables. Okay, so reaction tables. I have to open up Obsidian for this, because this one is something else that I've been working at. Actually, this is something that's pretty interesting to me, because I've been switching from the regular BX reaction tables to AD&D reaction tables. And I find that it gives a much more consistent, but sometimes surprising result. And I really like that. So let me actually just export it, and then I can show you guys on the screen what I have been doing. Once it exports, here we go. Okay, let me switch over. How do I do this? Okay, here we go. So this is the way I've been doing reaction rolls. I've been using a 3d6, which makes it a lot more predictable in terms of like the curve. And I've been using a bunch of stuff for like creating the tendency as well as the personality of the person involved. So I'll give an example of that. Let's say I need to get some dice for this. Yeah, let's say I were consulting a sage on some kind of advice, right? Let me try to get some dice here. Yeah, let's say I was trying to consult a sage for some kind of advice. Let me switch over to my writing pad here. But let's say like there's this sage. I was like needing to ask him for advice for like a dungeon or something. And I was like, I don't know anything about this sage. I don't know how he's going to react. And I want some information about him. So what I will do is I'll write like something like sage here, right? And I'll write his name, whatever it might be. And then I'll roll for their tendency. So let's do that. So it's 11. So I got, okay, firstly I just tore off some paper, whoops. But the first tendency that I got was optimist, which makes me think that they are a rather positive individual. So that will actually affect the roll. But let me roll the other thing as well. Let's roll the personality. So social preference, they are extroverted. So they're an optimist. They're extroverted. And their personality from extroverted is... Oh, they're an optimist, but they're blustering or antagonistic. So I'll use blustering for this. So they're very outspoken, but they're optimistic. Okay, cool. So if I were to ask them for advice about, like, say the dungeon, right? I'll give a +1 for the optimist. And I'll actually give, even though blustering might normally be like a negative trait, because I'm interpreting it as outspoken about things, I'll actually add a +1 to that as well. That's the interesting thing, because that might be a -1 in certain scenarios. Like for example, if, let's see what's in the chat. Jack says, what about a cultist? Yeah, like for example, if they were talking about, like they were supposed to keep their mouth shut, I'll actually add a -1 to that. If they're supposed to keep their mouth shut about like cult or something. So that's interesting to me, because the tendencies and personalities now affect like how someone might react to you. So what I do then is I roll 3d6, and then I add like my charisma modifier, and I add a factional alignment preference as well. So I don't know, let's say the sage is part of my town. So I would say that that's part of the factional alignment thing. But I don't know how much allegiance they have to the town. So I'll roll a d3, and we'll figure that out. So that's a +3 for allegiance to town. So they are very much part of the community in a sense, and they will help out people in the community. So that's a 3, 4, 5. So that's a very high modifier, even without a charisma modifier. So I'll roll a 3d6, and I got 5, 4, 4, which is a 13. 13 plus 5 is 18. So 18 is very friendly. So yeah, that's an interesting way of like generating out something, and you can keep these traits and just assign them to the whoever this is. And also like the factional alignment, this can be negative if they are interacting with something outside of the town, for example. So I think that's really cool. Let's try the same thing, but let's re-roll all of the stats. So this was our first attempt, right? Let's do it again. So let's do 25. So this sage, I just got trusting. So that's a +1 in this scenario. And then I'll roll, so this is for the social preference, and this is for their actual personality. 5 and 6. So they're, okay, I'm actually getting really good rolls with this, which is they're extroverted and diplomatic. And then the town thing, I'll just roll that. And that's, so this is an interesting situation where they're trusting and they're diplomatic, but they're not really part of the community, they're not really part of the town. And you can do that for a lot of different things. Like let's say you are meeting with a goblin or a cultist. Let's go with cultist since Jack is talking about cultists. So let's say you're meeting with a cultist who you have a negative affiliation with their faction, right? But this is a cultist who is like, you know, kind of like a special person in the cult. So you want to generate out their tendency and traits and stuff. So let's roll that. I got 36, which is foul and barbaric. Very cool. So you when there's like a foul or barbaric, you choose. So I'm just gonna go with barbaric. So that's gonna be a -1 to the modifier already. And then I'll roll their social preference and personality. So that's a 4 and a 3. So they are extroverted. And they are they're blustering or antagonistic, so like the same as that. So they're antagonistic. So this cultist is barbaric and they're antagonistic. So that's gonna be a -1. And then I roll a d3 and I got a -1. So they're not really part of, they are part of the cult, but they're not like a very pious worshipper of the cult. So let's just put a -1 for that. And that's a -3 overall. So then you roll all of these dice, 3d6, and I got a 3, a 5, and a 1. So that will be basically a 6, right? So I'm going back to my my little chart here. So 6 is uncertain, 4 and 6 chance of negative, otherwise neutral. So if it were 1 lower, then they'll just be negative. But as it stands, if I were in a combat scenario, like let's say I was in a dungeon and I met with this person, they will wait a combat round, so I could just surprise them and actually attack them while they're doing this, or I can wait for them to figure out how they feel about me. So I'm gonna roll that 4 and 6, and I got a 6. So they're actually neutral towards us. And there's a bunch of ways to interpret that. So, reaction possibilities. Dismissal, annoyance, anger, scorn, violent, cult, allies. So in this case, I will basically treat it as neutral, but they are tolerant of us. They're not like, they're not going to be negotiable, but they're tolerant. So something like that. So that's a pretty interesting way of doing it, I think, and makes for some interesting results. like think about like if they had a -3 to their cult thing instead, we will be dealing with negative immediately. And in fact, we will be dealing with actually we'll be dealing with a 6 -3, so we'll actually be dealing with very negative. So we will have gotten into combat, right? Wait, no, we had a -1 then -3, so we'll be negative, but still, so that's bad. So that's something I've been working away at. In the end, I'll be basically folding this back into Solus, the OD&D solo thing that I've been doing. But yeah, this is what I've been doing. I've been looking at a lot of AD&D stuff and then like kind of supplementing my games with it. And I wanted to mention that because I wanted to mention my blog, showclips.blog.im. So this is separate from my Substack. This is where I kind of play around with stuff. And I have a bunch of rules for Chaos Reign Supreme here. But I also have an AD&D reference guide that I've been reading through AD&D, DMG, and kind of like figuring out what parts are important or what parts can be used for other things. For example, I have a guide here for settlement generation using the tables in the AD&D guide. And I can't take credit for this. This is inspired by Brian's channel. So Brian's channel is the best, most comfy solo RPG channel I have seen in quite some time. So I've watched all their videos, as you can see. Highly recommend it. Yeah. So I kind of wrote down all of the page numbers and stuff so I could know what to reference. But this can create a very granular kind of setting, which I like a lot. Yeah, and I also have like what I just wrote. I have it, like the reaction stuff, I have it all written up online here as well. So if you want to take a look, you can take a look. What else do I want to cover today? Man, I'm going through this stuff real quick. Oh yeah, okay, so AD&D in general. One more thing that I've been doing is I've been actually doing a lot of solo RPGing, but I've been using Scarlet Heroes. I want to show off my journal and my journey so far with Brim the Dwarf. So let me switch over. So this is my Scarlet Heroes journal, right? This is just a handmade little notebook that I made. Yeah, so this is Brim. I'm playing with the Scarlet Heroes rules. Let me close this up real quick. So yeah, not much to say about him. He's just a pretty foul kind of dwarf who like turned to banditry after his service in the military. But he was also classically educated, so yeah. Let's see, Jack asked, did you know your chair occasionally melts and remolds itself? Yeah, unfortunately, can I get it to do that again? Yeah, the background removal is not perfect, so I apologize for this temporal distortion. Anyway, going back to this. Yeah, so I started off Brim's adventure by trying to save a bandit from a temple. And then I found the bandit and, you know, all that stuff. And the bandit essentially had a vision that led me to the Lost City. So I've actually been soloing the Lost City, like the B4 adventure, the classic one. And I've been writing up what's been happening. So let's start from here. Let's see. Wait a minute. Was there not? Oh yeah. I think I actually started only like properly recording the sessions from session 4, because like before then I did have a session in Lost City, but I didn't journal it out properly. So in session 4, I basically found a revolving passage. I kind of went through, I found some treasure, you know, all that stuff. It's pretty cool doing all this granular journaling because I can see like these crosses are essentially how many turns I spend in each room. So I can see, this is like the turns overall. So what I can do is I can go, like when I was in this room, I was like nearly at the end of my torchlight or whatever. But yeah, like I met this kind of huge lizard that I tried to lay down iron spikes, didn't really work. This was a fun one. I fought off like 6 hobgoblins and interrogated the last one. And it's a really fun adventure. I'd highly recommend like soloing through it. I'm just kind of flipping through, but you can kind of freeze it if you want to. This is the most recent thing. I met some Synodasians in the pyramid who had like these camel masks and walked zigzag to avoid these snakes that only they saw. Let's see. Hyrik says, mimic chair but melts when you try to sit on it and reforms after. It's not harmful, it's just annoying. I gotta stat that up, put it in the next zine. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing a lot. I've been doing this, and I've also been running group OD&D sessions. So that's been going fairly well. I don't know if I'll go into too much detail about the OD&D session other than that in the last session, 2 players got kidnapped and they almost got killed, so that was fun. They made it out in the end, and it was a good time. Yeah, I don't have my notes for it nearby, but this is essentially what I've been doing. I haven't been streaming any of this because I didn't want to put pressure on myself, especially with like, you know, the fact that I've been having these medical procedures and I've been trying to take some time off for myself. I didn't want to ruin that with burdening myself with like, oh, I have to stream this thing, I have to record this thing. So I've just, you know, been playing it on my own, and it's been really enjoyable. Also, if I were to stream or record it, I would usually speak into the mic, and that will be my recording of it, right? But this way, I will actually be writing it down, and I could have a much easier recollection of what happened in the previous session because I can just, you know, read through the notes way faster. Alright, how's the bookmaking going? You mentioned in a video that you made a book. Looks like this is a custom .grid notebook. Yeah, this is a very simple one that I made. I've made more complex books. Let me show one of those off. So this is one that I've made a while back, but this one is stitch bound, and these are Judges Guild tables, as you can see. I haven't been doing much of this as much recently, but I want to get back into it, or at least I want to make smaller kind of things. That kind of reminds me, actually, I've been working on making a bunch of custom wargame chits by using this thing. Let me try to get it without moving my entire setup. I've been using this thing, which essentially, let's just use this piece of paper that fell out. So, as you can see, I can just feed in something like that, and I can click it, and it will create a chit. And it's pretty sharp, so it will work for a card as well. And I'm just making these little chits to like play hex war games on. And I think this is really useful because previously I used scissors, but when you're cutting out like 100 of them, you really want to be using this instead. Let's see. Jack says 2 players almost died, but that was fun. Have you been tested for psychopathy, Chow? Yeah, it is a kind of a psychopathic thing to say, isn't it? Oh well. Hyrik says it's important to have time for yourself most of all. Yeah, so I've been doing a lot more of that. Hey, look at that, it's a viewfinder. Anyway. Where was I at? Let's see. Where's my notes? My notes. Oh yeah, so yeah, OD&D games. Let me take that. So that's basically what I've been up to recently. Oh yeah, also I wanted to talk about Forge, right? Forge, I did the art for it, and I will be donating one of them to a library soon. By soon I mean tomorrow. There's this casual poet library in Singapore, and I won't go into the details, but I'm planning on donating some RPG books there. That said, I wanted to show you guys a flip through of Forge. Let's see. Where is it? Okay, here we go. So, firstly, thank you to Oliver for sending me a bunch of the books. There's quite a few, so I have a few to basically give away to, like, you know, friends, and also like not libraries in Singapore and stuff. Yeah. So this is like the A5 version. Thought I'd just do a flip through. Like that's some of the art that I've done over there. And where is it? Over here. And these are my art as well. Yeah, this is just a really, really useful book. So previously there was the A5 version and there was the A4 version, alright? But now they've introduced a kind of like in-between version, and this is still pretty portable, but it's a lot easier to read. So yeah, it's really good. I enjoy this quite a bit. I think it's very useful if you're taking this and you got Scarlet Heroes. That's basically all you need. You don't even need Scarlet Heroes actually. You can just use the Paragon rules, which I think is at the back. Yeah, so this essentially works like Scarlet Heroes. I think that this is just really, really cool. And most of these are D66 tables, which makes it, you're not like constantly going through different like dice, which helps with the flow. The other thing about it that I really like is that it's general enough that you can use your own setting essentially. Like let's say the dungeon, right? Yeah, they'll actually separate it onto unthemed and themed locations. And these will have to do with what the actual dungeon is, and you can actually roll on the dungeon theme here. So let's say we rolled up like 44, which is poison or disease. And then we rolled it up again. We got 46. So impending disaster and poison or disease. So there's a plague going through this dungeon. And then you can kind of just roll up and figure out how that relates to that based on all these. So in practice, how this feels like is like it feels like you're using Ironsworn Delve, like the cards. And I really like how this is just a mix of a lot of really cool OSR and non-OSR stuff. And I just really like it, and I would like to do a playthrough of it in future, either on the channel or not. Let's see. Love you picked up the project, the more art the merrier. Yeah, so for those of you who are not aware, which you're probably aware because I've said it a bunch of times, but initially this book had a bunch of AI art in it, and I think AI art is my official stance on it, the official Chow stance. Like, who cares? I think if you're using it for personal usage, whatever, but like I wanted to, since this is a non-profit project, Oliver is not receiving any money from this. Like, the books are print on demand, the PDFs are free. So I wanted to do the art for free as well. So I did that. And he didn't have to send me all this stuff, but he did, and thank you. So I'll be donating either this one or this one to the library tomorrow. And yeah, I'm hoping I'll be able to play through it on the channel. Or not. Okay, so there's that. There's actually a whole bunch of other stuff that I've been doing as well, but those are more behind the scenes or art commissions. But I did want to mention Forge at the very least. So going forward, my plans for what I want to do, especially regarding the channel, is I do want to, firstly, I want to do that session of Zornigron. I got pretty sickly when I was supposed to release the second video, but I want to stick to what I said in the video and make it a two-parter. I still want to do that. So Zornigron, I still want to essentially make that video. I actually did half of it, but then I got really sickly and I couldn't do the other half. Kalraf, I want to continue it. Kalraf, by the way, had a recent Kickstarter that was successful. Castle Grief does amazing work, and I just showed the outdoor survival map generator scaffolder that I made. If you check out Castle Grief's itch, he has a map as well of outdoor survival that's like hand-drawn, and I'm gonna get that printed out on a huge neoprene mat, I think, for me. So that's stuff that I want to do. I also want to take the stuff from AD&D and my new reaction charts and all the stuff that I've been using for my actual OD&D games and put it into Solus. That's gonna be a harder thing to do because that requires like actual formatting and stuff. So this one is like, you know, maybe not. I'm not sure when I'll be able to get around to it. And then finally, the outdoor survival scaffolder. I'm also not sure when I'll be able to get to it because I spent a lot of time and effort on it already, and it works. So the rest of the features are nice to haves, but the core of it works. So I'm not sure when I'll be able to get back into it. But I actually wanted to just have it released so that it will be useful for people who are thinking of doing it. Speaking of which, I missed out on a huge thing. A gigantic thing, actually. Why did I not talk about this? Why? Okay. No, so I'm gonna switch over to the computer. Alright, so, right. There is... Wait, let me actually switch over to my cameras to make sure I'm not showing anything that shouldn't be shown. Is this the build of it? I've been making an application for people who are RPG writers to be able to annotate maps, and I wanted to show that off. And I think it's really cool. Let me just launch it and show how it works. So, give me a second here as I kind of set this up. I forgot completely about it actually. Like, yeah, I'm gonna do a refresh of it so that you can see how it's like when it's launched for the first time. So I'm gonna delete all of my save data on it, and I'm not showing it at the moment, but give me 1 second as I delete everything. Delete system32. Why is it still... Oh yeah, it changed the... Sorry, give me a second. I changed the name of the mapping software, so I think that changed the directory that it exists in now. Where is it? MapMate, there we go. Okay, cool. Alright, so here's how it works. Let me open up the program and show you guys. Okay, switching over. This MapMate. Yep, you can see it here. I'm gonna leave it maybe a bit smaller, but I wanted to show how useful this thing is. And I've been using this for my own stuff as well. I just forgot to mention it for some bloody reason. But I've been making some builds of it for Linux and for Mac as well. But I think this is one of the most useful things that I've coded up for RPG stuff. Yeah, let me just... The Dropbox images maps. Is it maps? Wait. Yeah, there you go. The maps directory. Okay, so here's how it works. Let me just delete the rest of the data here. Let me delete that. Okay, so we got a map here, right? This is what the map looks like. So what you do, here's how you use the application. You have the application open here, and you take the map, alright, you just drag it in. And then you got the map inside here. Sorry if my scroll wheel sometimes goes in and out. That's because my mouse is fucked. That's not because of the program itself. But anyway, so what you do if you want to mark up this map is that you can just right click and then you can drag the marker around, and then you can type like one entrance or whatever, right? So let's say one entrance. And then we got maybe here as well, so 2 eggs. So you can also resize the markers. So depending on the map, you can, you know, change that. You can scroll around, you can delete the nodes, you can save, and the saving is what is really interesting about this. So let's write a bit about the entrance. You see a gigantic spider. Cool. And then the eggs is like probably inedible. I don't know. So I'm just gonna hit Control S. And it's gonna save. And you're gonna see that 2 files are made here, right? So 2 files are made. You're gonna want to open the markdown file. So I'm gonna open this up. Right? So I have like VS Code open here. Let me close the console. So oops. How do I move this around? God damn it, VS Code. Let me just expand this out a little bit so I can show everything at once. Okay, so let's say I have those 2 open, right? you can see that it actually made the markdown document of all the stuff in here. And if I went into here and I just went, okay, I want to key out another room. Let's say I want to key out this room, right? Treasure or something. So tree, treasure. All right. I'm gonna just hit save, and it will make it here. And if I wrote like probably locked, save, and then it will automatically update here. So what I can do now is I can go to here. Probably dangerous to fight, and I can just hit save. All right, and then when I go over to here, you can see that it's updated. So it will automatically update. It will automatically update the map as soon as you alt tab to it. It will also remember the last opened file, as well as remember the size of the stuff and the camera position and all of that stuff. So you don't even need to save it. You can just close it and it will do that automatically for you. So let me just close it and then go back to the build, which is here, I think. So if I just do this, it will automatically open up the map. And I've been using this for a variety of things. But yeah, so in the future, if you want to essentially open up the same thing or open up another map or whatever, let's say I had a different map. Let's say let me try to find one in my files directory. Give me a second. Let me see. Where is... Yeah, let's use a Dyson Logos map. Oh, what? I'm not trying to... I almost copied over 9 gigs of information from my Dropbox to... Why did it do that? Wait, let me... I'm fucking up live on stream. I'm glad you can't see my screen right now. I hope I didn't just cut and paste the folder. Experiencing technical difficulties. Sorry, everybody. Let me just do this again. Alright, here we go. Got it. Alright, so going back to this. So if we have, like, for example, let's say Dyson.jpg, whatever, right? So we can take this and then we can drag it in, and then it will remove all the markers, and it will basically make it so that you can just do a new file. So yeah, so we can do the same thing. And here's the thing, right? It uses natural language processing, which means that if I did one entrance, right, and I did, I don't know, like 12, whatever, right, and then I did here, so let's say I saved this first. So I saved that, I open up the markdown document, so I got a 1 and 12 here, right? The sorting will actually put stuff in a natural way. So even though like 1 and 1, usually how like a computer will sort it is 1, then 1, 2, then 2, but this one will actually read it as words. So if I write 2 trapped or whatever, save that, it will actually put it into here automatically. What else does it have? Yeah, like I said, you can delete the nodes as well, so I can just do that, save, and it will delete it off. And yeah, this is just very, very useful. You can use this for path maps, like point crawl maps. You can use it for hex maps. You can use it for like this kind of dungeon map. You can use it for pretty much anything. And because of the variable scale, you can use it for any kind of resolution of any kind of file as well. In addition to all of that, the plan is, I might not follow through with this plan, but the plan is to make it open source. That way, anybody who wants to add anything to the program can do so easily. So, yeah. So, like I said, you can then go here, and if you want to open up this save file, you can just do that, and then you will open up this stuff here. And this seems very basic, which it is. It's very, very basic. However, it's also super useful in my experience, because the problem with writing a key for a map is that often you do not get the spatial context of it. So let's say you wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and then you're in your key writing out like 1 is this, 2 is this, 3 is this. The problem with that is that every time you want to say, how close is 2 to like 5? You have to actually track down 2 and 5. in your image, and then you have to kind of compare that. Now you can just like write it down you can just put down the actual abstract key in the image itself, and then you can then add the details at a later time. So like, let's say I put down like 4 and then 5 and then 6 here, save that. Then I can just kind of work away at the key, and if I wanted to know like how close something is to another thing, or I wanted to look at the details of like say eggs and treasure from the program itself, I can do that because it's just written out here. And you can edit it within the program itself as well. So yeah, that's essentially what I've been working on. Is there anything I haven't covered? I don't think so. I think that's covers most of it. But yeah, this can basically mark down anything. You can even mark down stuff that isn't a map, right? Sometimes you want that. But anyway, I think that's about it for like this program. I'm probably gonna upload it quite soon. It will be available for Windows, it will be available for Mac, and it will be available for Linux as well. And like I said, the goal is to make it open source. But honestly speaking, my coding has been very sloppy as of late because I haven't coded for like a year before I worked on this. And I might have to do a bit of cleanup before I actually do that. So we'll see, I guess. Okay, is there anything else that I have to cover? I don't think so. There's a lot of stuff though, I think. Like there's a lot of stuff that I've been up to recently. But the main stuff is the outdoor survival scaffolder, the AD&D, folding into like Solus, hopefully. I'll release it as a separate version so you can always get the earlier versions. I've been reading a lot more. Like I said, I finished The Broken Sword recently, and I'll be getting into Dune and Hrolf Kraki's Saga by Paul Anderson soon. And I've also been doing a lot of solo role-playing and group role-playing as well. Let's see. Caustic says, "You prolific rascal." This looks great and quite useful, especially for online play. Yeah, the goal also is to be able to actually export this thing as an image so that you can... Like, the main reason that I would see this being used, a lot of people have been using it for online play actually. The people that I linked it to, or like have the earlier versions of it, have been using it for online play. But the original purpose of it is actually to be able to write out a map key much more fluidly than you would with like a number scheme and then looking it up on the fly. And because it's markdown, you can export that to PDF very easily. And I'm also planning on creating a markdown renderer within the program itself. So if you put a bold text here, it will render it out in bold text, stuff like that. So yeah, that's the goal. I don't know if I'll be able to reach that. And I think at the very least, I want to release it even if it's incomplete, and maybe put up the code as well, so other people can modify it to their heart's content. But before I do that, I have to do some cleanup. So that being said, I've also been working on I think that's about it. Yeah, the pencil drawings as well. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about. But in future, I want to finish up some of the videos. I'm not sure when I'll be able to get around to it. Definitely not this month though, because I'm still undergoing the medical procedures. It's still kind of burdensome, and I'm still advised by my doctors not to do anything that will constitute a time limit. So I'm gonna follow my doctor's advice. But yeah, there are some plans for the future. I want to write up Solus. I want to do the Zornigron, Kalraf, and Forge videos. And I want to essentially update the outdoor survival scaffolder. I also want to do more games as well. Not solo games, but I want to play more group games as well. I was thinking about this. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it, but I have a Discord server, right? That Discord server was started primarily for video games, because I used to do video game development. and a lot of the people inside there are from those days. I'm thinking of starting a server that is for the channel, that's specifically RPG oriented. But yeah, I'm not sure whether that's a good idea or not. Yeah, I've just been thinking about it. I'm not sure whether I'm, fit to police moderate that kind of Discord server or like upkeep it or anything like that. So yeah, it's just something that's been in the back of my mind. That being said, though, I would love to kind of hear from everybody on what their experiences solo RPGing have been, or like if they want to ask questions about the videos, I would love to help out. And sometimes Discord is a better way to do that than through YouTube comments. It's a much more personal way as well, right? Like I have had a few people like reach out to me and like say that my videos or art or books have helped them. And then I always try to get into a conversation with them and try to help out where I can. Or like YouTube is a good way for reaching a larger audience, but at the end of the day, I kind of want this whole like helping people through creative journeys thing to be a lot more personal. And I thought Discord might be a good way to do that, but maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, that's basically it. Walter says, by Crom, what is this witchcraft? Thanks for the cool stuff. Hey, no problem. No problem, god of fucking Conan. Crom. Man, I gotta read more Conan. But yeah, thanks for dropping by, Walter. I am actually gonna end off the stream fairly soon. I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. I'm trying to think of it. Oh, there is! There's other stuff that I've done. I forgot about this. Okay, so I've been... Oh man, I forgot about this completely. So I've been like creating... like I said, I have the Blot website up, right? But I'm thinking of migrating it to a NeoCities website because I've actually coded up a thing to essentially be able to, when I push the website to GitHub, automatically update the entire NeoCities webpage. And you can see a preview of it here. You can see it's a lot more customizable than Blot. Look at that. Look at that. And then like, oh, this is some old stuff, but this was when I was trying to do Gygax 75. But yeah, this is like pretty cool. I've been thinking about whether I want to use NeoCities or Blot, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. I think there's probably like a shit ton of stuff that I'm missing because I have been doing a lot of things and I've not been updating the YouTube side of it. I've not been putting any of this even into the communities tab or anything like that. I've just been doing it silently and then posting it on Blue Sky. So if you want to follow whatever the fuck I'm doing, you can follow my Blue Sky, I guess. But this has gone on long enough. I don't know why I'm saying it like that, but this stream has gone on long enough. I think I'm gonna end off. But before I end off, I want to thank everybody for coming by. Thank you Axiom, thank you Carter, thank you Penflower Inc., thank you Jack, thank you Josh, thank you Prozep, thank you Benjamin, thank you Caustic, thank you Lancelot, thank you Carter, and thank you Walter. I think I did not miss anybody out. Hopefully. Yep. Very good. Very cool. Tomorrow I'll be doing my medical procedure and then I'll be going to the library to donate the books. I'm also going to be participating more in the Singapore Urban Sketchers group. So I'm very excited for all of those developments. And I'll try not to forget about the YouTube channel while I'm also doing all of this other stuff. See you guys later. Bye!